Hey, what's going on? We're back. We actually went 2 weeks without having an upload. I don't know if you're watching this, you saw my community post. Probably not, because who even uses that feature? Well, I guess actually a lot of people use that feature, but someone like me, probably not expecting posts from someone like me. But yeah, we had a forfeit win week 8 for whatever reason. And then we had Christmas break the week after. So 2 weeks, no battles, no anything. But now we are here in the quarterfinals. We're going up against Ducky. We're the 2nd seed. He is the 7th. This is also a rematch of our week 1, actually. Now, Ducky did make some transactions that, in my estimation, meaningfully changed the matchup. One of them was there was a Sinistcha, which he dropped and I picked up, as you can see. Among the ways that the matchup meaningfully changed, I don't know if that's exactly one of them, but now I think about it, maybe it is. But we'll get into that. So I'm going to go ahead and just get into each Pokemon, how I think they square away in the matchup, with some context from the battle that we had in week 1. So starting with the Iron Moth, last time we played, he brought Tera Fairy, which in my estimation was kind of questionable, because I think that even if it is like super effective on Ting-Lu, it just doesn't do that much. It doesn't beat Ting-Lu, and it also makes it so it's not strong enough to hit through Slowking, and it also has a typing that's weak to Sludge Bomb. So Fairy came last time. I immediately in that game felt tipped off that that Pokemon wasn't going to Tera, because before he had a Tera Hoopa Unbound, which was also Fairy, but Tera Hoopa was way better into my team at the time. As you can see, the Pokemon got dropped for the Skeledirge, but yeah, I couldn't say, it's not that obvious to me which Tera's going to come. I think I lean the Skeledirge is more likely, but if Iron Moth were to come, I think the best type is probably just a simple fire, like a Boots Fire, just because it's going to break through Ting-Lu and Slowking better than pretty much any other set could. And that was all. Now, that was also my feeling in week 1, I believe. I think that if Iron Moth was going to come with Tera, it was going to be fire. And so I would expect that now, but of course I'm open to the possibility that that doesn't happen. I really couldn't tell you what Tera would be if it's not fire. I think a lot of the other typings are just kind of strictly worse. But we'll see. Ultimately, if it's fire, then it's probably gonna be Boots. I have a very good team, hazard-wise. I could see like a lead specs or a lead eject pack overheat type thing, but generally speaking, if it's not one of those, that's just meant to like plow through Slowking or plow through Ting-Lu, it's probably just gonna be a simple Boots. That's like you click the really strong fire move, whether that's Fiery Dance or Fire Blast or Overheat or whatever, and then you swap. Maybe it's Overheat U-turn, something like that. My swaps are not spectacular into that, but I do. It's generally hard for this type of Pokemon to come in on me. So while it's not the easiest swap, I do have a couple that I can buy, whether that's like a Spadef Glowking and AV Glowking. Ting-Lu is still going to live 2 Fire Blasts, I think. Yeah, it's less that I have an indefinite number of switches to that, and more that I just don't expect that I will need to do it that many times. Another thing to consider why he might not put all his eggs in this basket is that if fire is the means to do damage that he needs, to do meaningful damage, you also have to consider the flip side, which is that Aqua Jet Azumarill like nearly just one-shots this thing if he's not a Tera that's resistant or at least neutral to water. So he might not want to waste his Tera on that. Or rather, let me rephrase, that's another reason why he might not want to waste his Tera on that. If I'm prepping from his point of view, I'm like pretty sure I'm not doing that. But we'll see. So that's pretty much Iron Moth. Zapdos, I don't have strong opinions on Zapdos. I didn't week 1 and I don't now. I think my team is very good into it, more defensively than offensively. Both, like similar to Iron Moth, Ting-Lu and Slowking both eat from it very well. They don't hit back as well, which I guess is something to consider when you think about like pressure or roost type things. Now, at the same time, there's the Kyurem. There is a Thundurus, which probably beats a defensive Zap, less so an offensive one. I do have a lot of guys that have to weigh the risk of, you know, making contact and getting static parried. All that's obviously not ideal. So I think if I were him when it comes to Zap, I'm probably just running like a simple defensive pivot that's static, boots, and I'm probably swapping in hard on something like Annihilate just to get the para. And then I'm probably, I was gonna say probably U-turn, but I don't know if I want to boost Rage Fist if I'm him unnecessarily, if I'm not gonna get like significant damage out of it. So maybe swap in with Zap, try and get some contact, and then Roar, maybe. That actually might be a workable play that I might do. Roar, Whirlwind, whichever it gets. I think it gets one of them. Now I'm curious. Zapdos. Surely it gets one of these. Does it not? No Whirlwind, no Roar? Alright, so I don't know. I don't know. Basically, I'm not terribly impressed or worried about the offensive capability of the Zap here, but I do find when I was prepping that just the sheer potential of static was incredibly obnoxious for a lot of my Pokemon, and the ability to, like, not that Hurricane does a lot to my guys necessarily, but that I guess Zapdos is a static annoying and a very decent trade Pokemon, where like there are a lot of guys that like it's not going to beat, but that it's going to take more health than I would like plus para. So I think Zapdos will be used to that end. I think it will be sort of a defensive pivot, maybe Hurricane something down into its own death, but the damage and the para that it might get along the way will be worth it. I think that's how I would evaluate Zapdos from my opponent's point of view. Next we have SAMUROTT. He's sweet. This Pokemon we absolutely destroyed week 1 just by virtue of having an Azumarill. SAMUROTT doesn't really have the tools to get around Azumarill for obvious reasons. It just doesn't get a move for Water Fairy. It wouldn't surprise me if it gets benched for that reason. I also think that with the moves that he made, transaction-wise, a simple offensive Azumarill, or maybe not even offensive, just like even a defensive one that's just clicking Play Rough, he has opened himself up a lot more to just simple Azumarill clicks. Before it was the Sinistcha, and so it really mattered what I clicked. I don't remember exactly what moves I brought last time, but my thought was like, I need a click that's going to be good into like a Sinistcha swap. And I think in the game that's actually what happened too. I think I have my pace pull up on my phone. It's so I was Play Rough, Aqua Jet, Perish Song, Superpower. So if I remember correctly, it was like just Perish Song on swap is what I was clicking, because if it was Helmet Oki or Helmet Sinistcha, then like I'm just Play Roughing, doing like 35 or so, and then being forced out and switching into something that I'd probably rather not be swapped or swap into. And this was a very physically defensive set, not a lot of attack. And so that's why I rationalized it that way. Sinistcha informed that decision very significantly. Offensive Azumarill is obviously a lot worse into a Sinistcha matchup, but as you can see, that's not something we're dealing with here. So what I find most enticing about that is that Azumarill, an offensive, like even Adamant or whatever, Azumarill can still check a SAMUROTT very well. So I'm sort of like permitted to be max tech Adamant and just swap in on SAMUROTT and rip Play Roughs, and really there's no swap. Realistically, there's kind of no swap. Unless the Dirge like specifically chooses to be a type that can swap, which I don't expect. But yeah, that's my thought there. With all that in mind, I also was like a bunch of boots guys. So while Ducky was able to get Ceaseless Edges off, if I remember correctly, he might even got all 3 off. But because I was able to run boots on pretty much everything, like it was all that, just ceaseless, going through all the trouble getting spikes up, taking helmet and whatnot, and ultimately it was all kind of for nothing. So I do expect him to think of a different strategy this time. I don't think it's going to be a hazard-centric approach from him this time, and it wouldn't surprise me if SAMUROTT is benched altogether, just because if you're not getting the return of hazards and you're hard countered by Azumarill pretty much, then you're kind of in trouble in terms of like your general usefulness. And I do think that there are other useful Pokemon that he could bring in its place, which is another consideration that you always have to do when you're building in that way. So yeah, not much to say on his SAMUROTT, even though I took a lot of time to say nothing. Next, we have an Excadrill. Excadrill was actually a Pokemon that I was fairly fearful of last time, and it didn't end up coming, which is what enabled me to be like the lead Thundurus that just kind of like rip 2 right away off lead. But Excadrill, if he's able to get an SD off, there are a lot of guys that like I don't have a lot that KOs it back, and +2 like Earthquake, Iron Head, Rock Slide, etc. is all pretty good. I do have the Thundurus to resist both stabs, which is also the approach that I took last time. It's just like swapping hard Thundurus with the Charty Berry. I'm always going to live the hit into the second hit, no matter what it is, and KO back, provided that I'm bringing a move that will hit in that scenario. What does make Excadrill a harder sell for him this time is the presence of Sinistcha, which... one, if I swap Sinistcha, the rapid spin, he's not going to be able to get the speed boost that he needs. I do have multiple guys that do outspeed and KO, so that's kind of a problem. Also, it's a really good EQ resist, and so your only attack pretty much is the Iron Head, so you're going to have to get it done breaking through Sinistcha without getting burned or anything like that. And Strength Sap too, you're going to have to get through Sinistcha with your Excadrill surely off the back of Iron Head, which is very difficult. So yeah, you're not gonna be able to spin. You're not gonna, for the sake of hazards. You're not gonna be able to spin for the sake of speed boost. You're probably not gonna break through Sinistcha. You're probably not gonna break through the Thundurus set, even if I brought the same one from last time and just used it differently. So that being said, I mean Excadrill is still a threat, but it would not surprise me if that also doesn't come. I do feel compelled to prep for it regardless, especially because not that you can see on the screen right now, but I'm not actually bringing Sinistcha. I did consider it, I did even try, but just didn't end up making the cut. So if I'm going to choose to bench Sinistcha, then I'm going to have to be... I'm kind of accepting a certain vulnerability to Excadrill. So yeah, after that we have the Dragonite. Dragonite came... Did Dragonite come last time? I don't remember. That's also something I will check on my phone real quick. I feel like it didn't. No, the Dragonite did not come last time. That's actually a Pokemon I was pretty fearful of, not necessarily because I had no options into it, but it did force some explicit prep. I think I was like lead, or theoretical lead, like Icicle Spear, Kyurem to get through multi, and if I saw a D-Knight then I was going to lead it. Obviously it didn't end up happening, which is why the game played out differently. But I do think, and this kind of is like an obvious statement, but I do think that like, yeah, D-Knight with a free Dragon Dance and a possible weakness policy. Like, what does a team have for a +3 Dragonite, generally speaking? I don't have a lot of great stops to it. At that point, like if I'm not bringing, you know, the Icicle Spear Kyurem lead, then I am kind of going Ting-Lu and like, Whirlwinding. It's like the type of thing I'm relying on. Prankster Thundurus, T-Wave, or whatever. Some various guys that like can live one, like Azumarill theoretically can live one, but I'm only able to use Azumarill in that way if the SAMUROTT doesn't come, which is an if, so that could be complicated. One thing is like my team, much better than before, gives him a bit of like 4 move slot syndrome, so it's not like as simple for 3 attacks Dragon Dance D-Knight as it was before, and if it didn't come before, then I guess it's less likely now, but nonetheless, like whether that's true or not true, I still kind of feel more fearful of Dragonite than other things that may come or did come, so that's something to consider. But like for example, your D-Knight is going to have to bring a specialized attack for Azumarill and Sinistcha right off the bat. That's you're already there. So you're already at like Flying Move, maybe even Hurricane, and then like T-Punch. Now you need one move that's going to hit Slowking, Ting-Lu, Kyurem, Annihilate, etc. Earthquake would be that attack for Slowking in particular, but it's pretty poor against everything else. So at that point, like Dragon Claw is going to be that attack that's going to hit everything else, but Dragon Claw is kind of the attack that hits everything and kills nothing. So yeah, I do think I'm better into that type of Dragonite, but it's not it's something I have more focus on than other things in this matchup. Whimsicott, Pokemon I don't respect. It's terrible into me and it's just completely trash. Slowking destroys it. Sinistcha destroys it, frankly. Not like not in a pure 1v1 sense. Like I guess Life Orb, Hurricane, you know, Whimsicott could beat it. Yeah, sure. But in terms of like the things that you're fearing when it comes to Whimsicott, it's like really annoying, you know, Prankster Powder move or Leech Seed. These sets are all extremely terrible into me, so I'm not going to dwell an unnecessary amount of time. Now we get into Skeledirge. This is a Tera that I think is a lot more likely. When I was building because I first thought like, okay, what Tera do I think is most likely? Or actually, that's not even the question. What Tera do I think is best is a better question. It's hard to know what's most likely. You're also kind of like making assumptions about your opponent and what they will think. You're also making assumptions about like how good your ideas are relative to theirs, which on one end it's like, oh, well, if you're a better player or whatever, then your ideas are better, you know, fair enough, whatever. But another thing is like, when it comes to prepping a match, like, you prep from your point of view all week. You test a lot of things, you think through a lot of things, whereas you think about what your opponent could bring, not necessarily in like a way that isn't meaningful or significant, but you think a lot less comparatively from your opponent's point of view than you do your own. So with like that being said, your opponent is still, it's possible that the idea that I think is best, my opponent actually tested and discovered actually isn't best. So yeah, that's kind of what I mean. So I think more like what I think is best is ultimately going to be better than what's likely, because then you're whether I'm right or wrong, it's still better. It's still better to just prepare for the sets that you think are good than preparing for like what you predict your opponent is going to conclude with far less information than your opponent's going to have. Or yeah, your opponent's going to have a lot more information than you. So I don't know if that made sense. Maybe that was just more confusing the way I said it. So yeah, that being said, when it comes to Dirge, two sets, I think two sets kind of stand out to me. The first one that I thought was like a Tera bug, because two things. One, my team in general hits bug neutrally. It doesn't have many attacks that hit it super effectively, and bug hits Ting-Lu in particular super effectively. So when you think from his point of view, he's going to think like whatever set he brings is going to have to be something that's going to, you know, essentially either beat Ting-Lu straight up or break through it over the course of a game. And there are a lot of types that just don't do this, and bug is not one of them. And then from there, it's like, okay, well, let's say I don't go, from his point of view, let's say I don't go Ting-Lu, I swap something else. There are not a lot of hits that are just, like Skeledirge is very fat, there aren't a lot of super effective hits that are going to 2-hit KO neutrally a Skeledirge. So I think bug is very good in this regard. If it were bug, I think the set it would be is like Torch Song, Shadow Ball, Tera Blast, Slack Off. You would boost the special attack maybe once or even twice as I go Ting-Lu. The thing that he has to consider is that like I can be Throat Chop. Throat Chop would break the sound move, so it would stop the ability to use Torch Song. But once you're +1 or +2 and you can Tera Blast, you're going to break through Ting-Lu, and then not a lot to it KOs you, so it's still like a very good position for him. Another thing is like you could Torch Song just once, and if Ting-Lu is low enough, you have Torch Song and a +1 Tera Blast, maybe that kills. Obviously he's not going to kill from full, but that's just, these are the ways that the Skeledirge, my opponent could think about using Skeledirge. Another set that I faced a lot in mocks was just a simple Tera Ghost. The Tera Ghost sets would have Will-O-Wisp. I don't remember. I think some had Policy, some had Lum, some were just simple boots. All are fair brings, but basically with that, it's like your Wisp, Torch Song, Shadow Ball, Slack Off, and so you do burn, but you can, and maybe you're maybe in a similar way, like you Torch Song, you get the boost, and then you burn as I Throat Chop, and then you can't boost anymore. But now you have burn Ting-Lu +1 Skeledirge, and you can just Tera boosted Shadow Ball through. Won't do a lot any one time, but between the burn, the gradual chip, and you being able to heal yourself, that's a 1v1 that you're always going to win unless there's Whirlwind, of course. But that's a 1v1 you're always going to win. And then once you've done that, now the rest of the team has to stare down +1 Dirge with burn potential. And yeah, I mean, similar to bug, after you get through Ting-Lu, there aren't a lot of guys that hit Ghost super effectively either. It's just the Annihilate. Now Annihilate isn't like a small thing there. like if I'm Tera Ghost Annihilate, which I guess is possible, that's something that's gonna really kind of foil this set. But otherwise, like, if it's non-Tera Rage Fist and the Rage Fist isn't boosted, I mean, Skeledirge always has the option to tank the hit in Will-O-Wisp, unless, of course, there's Taunt, but you get all that. But the point here is, like, even Ghost with Will-O-Wisp is extremely viable. I find both of these sets pretty good and more difficult to deal with than anything Iron Moth could be. But that being said, I did face some good Terrifier Iron Moth play as well. So it's not that that's totally off the table, but those are roughly the things that I'm expecting. And I think anything that's not these sets is ultimately just a gift. Like, it's just easier, I think. Next we have Slowking. I don't feel that strongly about this Pokemon either. Ultimately, like something like AV will be able to take freeze dries from Kyurem, so it could effectively be a Kyurem swap. The thing is, like, if you're AV, then you're not able to click the moves that actually meaningfully punish the Kyurem. So, and really what I'm talking about in this case is like T-Wave. That's really the main thing. So, and also you forfeit the ability to Chilly Reception. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head if the calcs check out, but a Max Spadef T-Wave or Max Spadef Chilly could do it if it can live to freeze rise comfortably, like something like Boots Special Defense. So I guess that's possible if the calcs check out, if the calcs permit. But in terms of like threat levels, I'm not terribly worried. I think like Slowking is my own Slowking is kind of just like a better version of this, and I could just like go into my own Slowking, absorb whatever T-Wave that I find regrettable, and then go from there. Also, if he were to Chilly on me, I think my Slowking-G kind of fares better into the things that he would go in afterward. Obviously, he has the SAMUROTT H, which would hit my Slowking hard, but I swap into that so comfortably that when you factor in things that are not that, like after that it's just Excadrill, right? My team swaps into Excadrill very well. So it's more like, it's not that he couldn't get the better of me on that front, but my Slowking-G ends up being good against his Slowking because the things that he can Chilly into are not things that are that good into me. So yeah, from there, like we're talking about T-Wave and Chilly, like that's really it. Other than that, like I do have multiple Pokemon that can hit it well. I have the Thundurus, even Ting-Lu Throat Chop if it's the right spread. I mean, even that probably beats it. We do have my Sinistcha. Azumarill just straight to it KOs it if it were hypothetically an Azumarill swap. And then of course like Annihilate probably beats it too. So yeah, Slowking, I don't rate that as very high possibility. I don't see any particular appeal to it. But I mean, I guess I'm not totally writing it off in the same way that I am Whimsicott. Next we have Okidogi. This Pokemon, it didn't exactly get anywhere versus me in week 1, but it was still like the most annoying. I think it has a typing that's kind of irritating for, I guess Annihilate is the main thing. Yeah, I guess its typing is kind of poor into the other things. But while Annihilate in the base form, like resisted stabs and like, how do I put this? It's not that Annihilate can't comfortably beat Okidogi, because it absolutely can. But when you're running an Annihilate, like the type of thing you're trying to do with Annihilate is in most matchups is like be a sort of long-term bulky guy that can kind of snowball Rage Fist boosts or even snowball like bulk up boosts and kind of win in a long-term sense. In Okidogi, like to the extent that it won't be Annihilate, that's one thing. But the likelihood that Annihilate escapes that exchange with all of its health without being toxic, and that's ultimately what it needs to do what Annihilates do. So that's kind of the annoying thing with Okidogi. So yeah, I guess in retrospect, like it's not that Okidogi is even good against me, because it's kind of not, but it's just annoying enough to do a job. And it's not that easy to stop that job, because as you can see on the screen, like I'm taught Annihilate, and that deals with Toxic, but I mean this thing has the Toxic chain, so like I can't even let it hit me, right? And like that's really like in terms of like the longevity and the long-term way for Annihilate to win, I can't even let this thing hit me. So that like whether I beat Okidogi easily, that kind of limits like what I'm able to do. So yeah. Another thing is like I do think I was playing around Shuka or AV last time. In that like when it was Kyurem versus Okidogi, it was like I'm kind of unsure exactly what I want to do. So I've sort of accounted for that better in this build. Now that being said, I don't think he was either of those sets, but he might be now. So if he's AV, he starts, even though he has more attacks that he doesn't live, he starts getting a little more viable from a defensive standpoint. Like for example, I don't remember if we talked about this after the week 1 game explicitly or not, but like week 1 it was Oki versus Thunderous lead, and he was forced out because he couldn't live Psychic. That would be a different story with an AV Okidogi. He could, if he really fears the Thunderous like last time, then he could, be AV. Ultimately, he's training for Thunderous, which is probably still, maybe it's not good for me actually because of Excadrill. But that like I can imagine he comes up with ways for him to live and stay in, I guess. And if he's able to do that, then he's a bit more defensively viable, and then he has greater capacity to just be irritating in just the right way for Annihilate. But yeah, and then last we have the Dunsparce. This thing is kind of like sneaky good against me. On paper, like looking at the matchup, it just kind of looks terrible, but it has a lot of like weird sets that could be good. I did face Diet Type brought an annoying like Coil Body Slam Throat Chop, like I don't remember if it was Serene Grace or not, but it was something like that. It was very irritating. Like on paper that feels questionable because of like the ability for, I guess, Sinistcha to burn it, right? Or like super effective Annihilate Pit or Whirlwind Ting-Lu, and you gotta hit it a few times to beat that. I also have brought Perish Song and Encore, Azumarill in various games all the time. That's also something that could beat it. So like there's a lot to worry about from that point of view, from like a setup to Dunsparce. But like at the same time, it is really fat. It's hard to KO, especially after a defense boost. And under the right circumstances, like that might just be something that I don't have a stop to if I don't explicitly prep for it in great detail, which is a reasonable thing for him to bank on. Like, okay, it's my 10th round Pokemon that in theory has a lot of resist and immunities going against it. Maybe there won't be a lot of explicit prep for a late game Coil type set. Like that's a very fair assumption, and if I overlook that fair assumption, then yeah, the conditions could be right for Dunsparce to give me a hard time. Fortunately, we did not overlook that. Okay, so that was a long matchup preview, but whatever. I mean, you can skip it if you want to skip it. I'm not worried about it. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the team. As always, because I'm useless, I don't have a perfect recollection of every Eevee, but we'll get through it. So we have Ting-Lu. I believe this is an exact spread copied from week 1, so whatever I said in week 1, that applies here. The most fair assumption is that it's for Pokemon that came and are still here from last time, so it's probably like Iron Moth calcs, various ones, Zapdos calcs, probably avoids a 2 KO from Fire Blast, and 3 KO from Hurricane offensive, stuff like that. But all you need to understand is that this is a simple SPDF spread, nothing special to that. Earthquake, Whirlwind, Stealth Rock, and Ruination. I think this is essentially the same set I brought last time. I think I chose Rock over, let me pull this up. I think I chose Rock over Spike. I think that's the main difference from last time. Yeah, and the reason for that is he brought offensive Zap last time, and I expect it to be the same story. Also, it also, I guess I'll be leaking this early, but I have a knockoff Thunderous, which could reasonably take items off of things like Zap or Dragonite. And when it comes to Spike, like let's say I succeed there. When it comes to Spike, I still don't get the return of getting Hazard Chip on those guys, but if I have Rock, I do. And then from there, like the only meaningful difference between Spike and Rock's damage are on things like Excadrill and Okidogi. And when I go through all the calcs for the rest of my team, I don't, the difference there, the Hazard Chip doesn't meaningfully affect calcs with respect to those two Pokemon. So I decided like, the upside of Rocks is good and the downside of not being Spike is essentially insignificant. So that's why I chose to do it that way. But yeah, we got Earthquake to hit Iron Moth, even if it's not Terra Fairy, or even if it is Terra Fairy, or it's not Terra Fire. That's actually what I meant to say. If it's not Terra Fire, so it's a neutral type to Earthquake, like Terra Fairy, like last time, Jeez, that's what I was trying to say. Earthquake still gets to a KO, but also like it hits Extra super effectively. It does around like 40-ish% to SAMUROTT, which might come in. Still a super effective attack on Okidogi, which otherwise could hit me super effectively. All sorts of good reasons to run Earthquake. And in the event that we're not thinking Earthquake is coming in, Ruination, just as good. We'll get the 50% on Zap. Essentially, it's, I guess, more damage on SAMUROTT. I guess it's good damage on Skeledirge. It at least will force, a slack off while I can whirlwind it out or swap or whatever I want to do. Like I could go hard Azumarill and Encore, another leak. I'm Encore Azu. But yeah, one thing about my builds, which is not like novel information, but my sets connect with each other in a lot of ways. So it's kind of hard not to talk about other sets. It's hard to talk about any one set in a vacuum, is I guess what I'm trying to say there. But yeah, nothing terribly complicated here. Next we have the Annihilate. I was fumbling with this set so much throughout the course of the week. Last time I brought Tera Rock bulk up was very strong. His draft is unusually weak into Tera Rock. I think other people also brought Tera Rock into him. So like, yeah, I was first, but a lot of people were like, oh, why are you Tera Rock? That's kind of a weird type you don't usually see. Well, and then other people played him. But yeah, well, Rock is still very good offensively. What does change here a lot in this matchup is the presence of the Skeledirge, which can and will be, if it comes, a type that's not going to be weak to Rock. And if I'm not a type that's going to be weak to Rock, then I kind of just don't, or if he's not a type that's weak to Rock, then it becomes difficult for me to beat Skeledirge at all in the first place. And then I'm also not a type that beats Okidogi, so I can still like get poisoned very easily. And this was a point that was true in week 1, so that's just kind of a new consideration. And it's basically, and it's not that what I said couldn't have been true last week, but it's more like it's more feasible to think that Skeledirge will be used to check Annihilate in this way. And so if I'm like bulk up versus the unaware guy, that's already not going to work. And then if I'm not going to be able to Tera Blast Rock through him most likely. And then on top of that, Okidogi's probably going to be able to live a hit, especially if I'm Tera Rock, and poison me or just hit me super effectively with close combat. So it's really when I think about it, it's the presence of unaware that kind of makes me rethink how Annihilate has to be built in the first place. Earlier in the week, I was actually like a Focus Energy Scope Lens set, which also had the perk of getting the Oko on Zapdos, which was nice. But the reason I'm ground is that Tera Ground Earthquake actually 2-KOs a lot of guys naturally. It always 2-KOs Okidogi after Shuka, which is really what I need. I need Okidogi to just not even think coming in on Annihilate is viable in the first place, not even for a Toxic. And if he does make such a play, I can just kill it outright in most scenarios. Another perk is that when I was mocking as Tera Rock, not that it's like terribly safe prep, but it's possible prep. I was facing like pivot on Zap on fight move or ground move, and you're immune, and then Volt Switch, get more damage, swap back to Oki on Stone Edge, back to Zapdos on Earthquake or whatever, or on Rage Fist or whatever, get parried, Volt Switch again. Stuff like that. And so ground just kind of like prevents the ability to do that. It forces Zapdos to, if it's going to pivot on Annihilate, it's going to have to U-turn, which will boost my Rage Fist for far less damage. And then like swapping into the Rage Fist just becomes more difficult. I'm also Punching Glove, so if you look at my 3 attacks, like I just don't make contact with Zapdos in any scenario. And if you can't Volt Switch for more damage, you have to U-turn. I barely take any damage. Now my Rage Fist is always stronger. So after taking like 1 U-turn really, shortly after 2, like Rage Fist just becomes the superior mid-ground into a lot of these Pokemon, especially if the Dunsparce doesn't come. So I kind of force Ducky's hand in this respect, being these attacks. But yeah, Earthquake just hits everything really hard. It effectively kills Okidogi, even if it's Shuka, because like Shuka into a non-Shuka Earthquake always does it. Stone Edge does a lot to Zapdos. I think a crit kills, but you know how that is. But even if I don't get the crit, or even if I miss, it's just hard to do a lot of damage. As you can see, like, I'm fairly bulky, particularly on the special defense side. The speed outspeeds up to max speed Adamant Excadrill, which in turn also covers max speed Adamant Samurott. I don't expect him to be Jet. I expect him to be Sucker over Jet, just because the Kyurem is the main thing that can hit Samurott pretty hard. And so if you want to get priority, Sucker is just very superior in that regard. But that doesn't mean Jet's impossible, but I do think I would eat it very well. Regardless, like, I don't think Jet is, like, so strong that I have to worry about it. Another thing is, like, Samurott, even though I'm ground, Samurott has to be kind of uncomfortable staying on Annihilate, because he's not going to know I'm Fight Move, or not Fight Move, until I explicitly reveal it, which multiple Pokemon could be dead by the time that actually happens. The 7-2 attack, I think, just gets like the 2-hit KOs that I talked about that I need on everything. The Stone Edge, it's always 2-hit KO on Zap, which he can roost, but I think it's like if I Stone Edge and then Earthquake, then he never gains. In fact, I think that Tera boosted Earthquake probably does like quite a lot. But Stone Edge at minimum like forces the roost, which is really what matters, and then the Earthquake gets 2-hit KO through Shuka Okidogi, as I was saying. A Spadef Skeledirge that's like Terra Ghost. The reason Spadef is good is because it can slack off through a nasty plot Thunderous, like whether it's T-Bolt or Dark Pulse. Skeledirge can comfortably slack off and just beat that 1v1, so there's good reason to think that he would be especially defensive Skeledirge. Another reason, if he's with the Wisp set, then he doesn't need to be physically defensive. But if that is the case, then the Earthquake just 2-hit KOs, I think. But if he is like, if he is Fizdef, then it doesn't. But what is important in any case is that I'm taunt, so that prevents him from being able to burn me. So I'm gonna beat it either way. I'm gonna be able to Earthquake through it either way. The same is true for Dunsparce. At one point, I was thinking like, oh, I could drop taunt for, a fighting move, and then I would beat Dunsparce better, but I realized like, oh, that actually makes me worse into Dunsparce, because the moment he coils, something like Drain Punch doesn't even come close to it KOing. I don't think CC does either. So Taunt Earthquake is actually what does it, or I guess Taunt specifically. But yeah, I think that covers that. The specific split of HP and Spadef is so that Hurricane never 2-hit KOs me. I think offensive Zap Hurricane doesn't 2-hit KO. So I'll always beat it in that regard. And if I get like a good swap, like if I predict Stone Edge, he goes Zap, the next one kills, his Hurricane isn't even going to do half to me, so I'll have a good amount of health going forward after killing the Zap. But that's the idea there. Next we have Kyurem. This is kind of a unexpected set, you could say. Other than Bronzong, Kyurem's actually the only Pokemon I have that gets both screens, which is really annoying. But essentially, the issue was when I was mocking, I was able to have like craft an Annihilate set that did well. But the real issue is that it was always possible for me to be either outright revenged by Iron Moth, or to just take way too much damage from Okidogi. Again, this was still the case when I was Rock. Another thing was whether if Samurott was Scarf, that also did way too much, whether I was Rock or Ground. So it was like, I could craft a set that was offensively very good, but it was always revengeable. Last time he didn't bring Energy Ball, but he definitely will bring it this time, because I don't know if I ended up burning him in a way that mattered ultimately, but he didn't have a way to even hit Rock last time. That's not going to be a mistake he makes again. Energy Ball will hit the Rock, and of course, if I'm Ground, it's going to hit Annihilate anyway. But the issue is like, I'm just so revengeable without screens, and so that was really like what was preventing me from really getting going in mocks. So I thought like, all right, I gotta find a way to get up screens, and then I was like, well, Bronzong sucks here. I don't want to. And then I have a lot of other guys that have one screen, but that's just so like not ideal. So I ended up being Kyurem. And you can see like I'm not Icicle Spear like I was talking about for lead D-Knight, but what ends up working is like, one, if I lead Kyurem versus D-Knight, he certainly has to respect the threat of Icicle Spear, especially because I brought it last time, so he'll probably swap in the first place. But he's probably going to swap into like an AV Oki or an AV, I guess, Samurott again is possible, or to Dunsparce or whatever. So like clicking Reflect between whether he stays in DDs or whether he swaps. Reflect, the first one, Reflect, is going to cover all of those plays. So essentially, like, Screen in effect ends up being as good as Icicle Spear lead, basically. And then it allows me, of course, to get the screens that I need for Annihilate. So the speed is the same as I described for Annihilate, and then it outspeeds the max speed Adamant, Samurott, and Exca. This special attack always 2-hit KOs AV Samurott. I think it always 2-hit KOs max HP Okidogi as well with Earth Power. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I believe that's the calc. Yeah, you don't need a ton of special attack to do that. And then the rest is like bulk. And this is, I believe this is another Hurricane Zap type calc. And I believe, I'm trying to remember what the defense is. I don't remember if it's an Excadrill calc. Oh, I remember. The HP and defense is so that through a screen, Okidogi max attack Drain Punch doesn't KO after Rock and Spike. Obviously that's a very obscure calc, but it's really a matter of like rounding the remaining defense you have into something hypothetically useful, rather than like, yes, this is a very important calc I have to get. Like, it's not like that. But yeah, that's like why I guess the defense in SPDF breaks down in this exact way. Next we have the Slowking, and now once I get into this I can kind of explain more about how the team is supposed to be played. But we have this defensive spread. This is a very similar spread to what it was before. I don't remember perfectly what it was, but the idea here is just that like Max Attack Adamant knockoff from Oki is never going to 2-hit KO, and I believe this is never going to 2-hit KO after Rocks or after one Spike, because they're like the same calc. But basically I can always swap this in on Okidogi, especially because I plan on burning the eject button early. So here's how the team is meant to be played. We're going to lead Annihilate because it leads well into Okidogi especially. It also leads well into Zapdos, and even Samurott. Samurott's like a pretty easy swap. Really, actually, let me rephrase. He can't stay in with Samurott because I can just choose to not Tera turn 1. And then like if he attacks me and just dies, or I bulk up, that'd be even worse, right? So I think it leads well in practice. It ends up leading well into Samurott as well. Leads well into Dun, you could say. I also will move first and taunt the Dragonite. I probably would be forced to Tera in this scenario because he could Hurricane, hypothetically. Probably forced out by Iron Moth. But basically the idea is like I'll lead Annihilate, it's favorable into Oki, and then versus anything else, I will go hard Slowking, pop the eject, get Kyurem on it clean, and throw up screens. And the reason you could ask, you could ask like, oh, well, why don't you just lead Kyurem then, right? Well, Kyurem doesn't lead as favorably into a lot of these guys. Zapdos is probably forced to swap, but because of how much Hurricane could hypothetically do, it's like, oh, I might want to Light Screen. But then if he goes into Oki, it's like, going hard Oki is annoying, not because I can't live the hit comfortably, but because he could knock, and then I lose my Light Clay for the entire game. I could also get poisoned in the process, and then I'm just going to swap to Slowking, where he's going to possibly take my eject off, and if he knocks, then my eject doesn't pop, so then I have to Chilly Reception, which like isn't the end of the world, but I'm losing a turn of screens to do this. So yeah, like none of what I just said is actually like the biggest deal. It's just strictly worse of an option than just leading Annihilate and then going Slowking versus certain leads, popping eject, getting Kyurem in clean that way. That's like the most consistent and highest upside way of getting screens, basically is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, the Psychic Noise, you don't need any investment to just 2-hit KO. The AV Ogi, it does a lot. I think no AV just drops altogether. This investment is like knocks into a KO after Rock, like I said, and then the SPDF is for I think it's for Fire Blast, Terra Fire, Boots, Iron Moth. I think that doesn't 2-hit KO, or maybe it's that it doesn't KO after like maximum hazards. It is another rounding calc. I know that it at minimum like avoids a 2-hit KO from possibly like a non-Terra Fire. But basically, like I know it's meant to cover all sorts of Iron Moth related calcs of varying strength. Also avoids a 2-hit KO from Hurricane after either Rocks or Rock and Spike. I don't remember exactly. But basically, like because this is the first swap on Ogi, essentially, it can't get poisoned, which is another plus. Like the Fizdef calc is important first, and then like with the remaining EVs, you cover as much Iron Moth as you can, and then you have a little 4 left over to splash into special attack. I don't remember if the 4 is significant or not. I actually think it might be on one of those Psychic Noise calcs that I had said. But yeah, and then Sludge Bomb is because like I don't expect Sludge Bomb to be that good, but it gives me a hit on SAMUROTT if I want one, and then if he brings Tera Fairy again, really on either Pokemon, because last time he brought Tera Fairy on both too, even though it was a Hoopa instead of a Dirge. But I have a move to hit both of those in the event he decides to bring that again. Before I was Protect over Sludge Bomb, because what was happening is he would go hard SAMUROTT, and I don't have a great move for that, and I don't want to give up hazards. So what I would do is like I would Yawn on switch because it covers pretty much everything, and then SAMUROTT could like Ceaseless, but I would Protect so it wouldn't hit. He wouldn't get the spike off, and then SAMUROTT would be asleep for pretty much the game, and then I would Chilly Reception. That ended up being like really good, really high upside, but I ended up deciding like I don't think SAMUROTT's that good to me anyway. So I think I would rather be able to hypothetically hit like a Fairy Iron Moth that's maybe like Fiery Dance boosting or whatever than like solely relying on basically Ting-Lu to do that job, which it can only essentially do like one time. Like I guess I felt more vulnerable to Iron Moth if I wasn't a Slowking that could also help out Versit in a hypothetical. Next we have Azumarill. This set, just like I described, is way more offensive. This thing is very fast, creeping Okidogi, and then this attack actually makes it so Fairy Feather Play Rough just straight to a KO is max HP Okidogi. So when I go Azumarill on SAMUROTT, I am basically immediately forcing a kill in all scenarios. I 2 KO everything. Play Rough into Jet drops Zapdos, unless he's literally physically defensive. That's the only exception. Also getting stacked there, kind of annoying. But I think it's very it's very like freaky for him to do that because he doesn't know if I'm banned on the first swap, so I'm probably forced getting a kill anyway, at least the first time until when he identifies my set. Okidogi, because the Sinistcha is gone, Okidogi is like the best swap that he can have to think he could possibly live something. But this spread literally just 2 KOs it completely and outspeeds it, which I don't think he'll expect. So yeah, like that would be a huge return if I just go Azu on SAMUROTT, play rough, take the Ogi, and now like it's a full health or maybe 2 helmet chips Azu, and it's like who do I go in next? Because Iron Moth, if it's fire, will take like 75 from Jet. Excadrill will take a similar amount. Slowking gets 2 KO'd comfortably by that same Play Rough. The Dunsparce, like, I mean, you better click the right move because I can Encore you, I can Parasong you. So yeah, I think like offensive Azu has just got really opened up by him dropping Sinistcha. And so I just think it's really good. The Ceaseless Edge on this still like doesn't even 3 KO. So I still take the SAMUROTT doesn't even come in very well in the first place for a lot of the things that I've described, and like I can still take 3 Ceaseless Edges from it. So and like how many Play Roughs are you gonna let me rip because you're going for Ceaseless when I could just be boost everything again? Like you're like it's just so it's so much in my favor, this type of exchange. So yeah, Play Rough, Aqua Jet, all I really need to get it done, and then Parasong and Encore are both really good tools against the Dirge and the Dunsparce. Because I'm so fast to cover Ogi, I in turn cover Dirge and the Dunsparce as well. So like there are so many moves that I could lock them into that are just not good. Like locking it into Fire move, or walking into Slack Off, or locking into the Dunsparce to Roost, or into Coil, or whatever. And it's like I always have a tool to beat it, whether that's Parasong the following turn, or I go Ting-Lu and Whirlwind, or whatever. So yeah, this set I think is very strong. And then finally we have the Thundurus. This is a pretty similar set to last time, at least in concept. There are some move tweaks because of the Pokemon that changed. But Thunderbolt, Focus Blast, Taunt, Knockoff. I was actually... What was I instead of Taunt? I was weighing T-Wave, I was weighing Plot, and then Dark Pulse over Knock. And then I was a more... I think I was like 96 Special Attack Modest, because then I would always 3-hit KO Tera Skeledirge with Dark Pulse, and then at that point it was like, okay, flinch it once, and then I'll beat it, right? And behind a screen, especially, like, that's really favorable for me. But then what was happening was, like, all my other Pokemon always have a click into D-Knight with Multiscale, but the Nasty Plot 3 attacks Thunders didn't, so I was always coughing up a free Dragon Dance, and, like, under the right circumstances, with the right clicks, the right moves brought, that was, like, really bad. So I thought, like, okay, I first need to craft a Thunders in a way that's, like, at least going to stop that, while still being able to do the job that I wanted Nasty Plot Dark Pulse to do. And so, like, in effect, the end result is, like, something that's maybe less offensively potent, but in the same way that Taunt, EQ, Annihilate beats Skeledirge, Taunt, Thunderbolt beats Skeledirge. Also taking the item off of it could be potentially very good. But yeah, if D-Knight comes in, like, I can't, especially, like, in a mid or late game scenario, like, when D-Knight comes in, like, you know it's kind of to multi-scale and Dragon Dance up. Like, it's kind of the point. Not always, but kind of the point, especially the later you get into a game. So clicking Taunt is, like, pretty safe, and it prevents that. And then from there, like, you'll just have to see whether you want to break multi with T-Bolt or swap or whatever. But the important thing is that, like, Taunt covers DD Knight, and then it still helps me beat Skeledirge in the way that I intended to with the Dark Pulse set. And then from there, like, outside of that, the concept is the same with checking Excadrill. It's just Charty Berry, so that I can always swap in, take the Iron Head, or take an SD into Rock Slide or whatever, KO back with Focus Blast. I don't remember. I think I'm more physically defensive than last time. I think I avoided 3-hit KO from X-Stack, and I'm an Iron Head, and also, like, I don't remember if there are Iron Head into Rock Slide calcs that I'm also good into. I don't remember, but yeah, basically, like, pretty physically defensive for the various interactions that I can have as I swap into an Excadrill, whether it, you know, Rock Slide's on swap. I know I live, like, Rock Slide. Charty Rock Slide into regular Rock Slide. I know I live that. I know I live 3 Iron Heads, stuff like that. The speed covers max speed, modest. Iron Moth. One recurring theme with a lot of the 110s that I face is they just don't have because of the speed gap between Thundurus and Kyurem, like, they don't really have a reason to be timid. Which, on one end, people are like, oh, speed gaps are bad. You gotta force timid because it's stronger. But, like, really, it has worked in my favor that. I've been able to save so many EVs on my Cyclozar and on my Thundurus because these guys are never running timid. So, yeah, that's something to consider. But yeah, that's the team. This team builder and matchup discussion was extremely long, but whatever. You can skip it. Hey, listen, man, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. All right. So yeah, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get to the battle. So I will see you in a second. Fairy Moth, Ground, Annihilate. Alright, we gotta write down what happened. Iron Moth, Okie Dokie, Zapdos, SAMUROTT, and the Dunsparce. Okay, so one thing I noticed right off the bat, fucking Skeledirge didn't come, which, like, it's both good and annoying because a lot of my prep was for Dirge, but I mean, Iron Moth is a blessing, so there's that. There's no D-Knight. I was only gonna leak Kyurem in the event that D-Knight came, which is the same as week 1. Yeah, other than that, fairly reasonable team. We're gonna go ahead and lead with the Annihilate. Okay. We got the little Caesar shirt, so we are ready to go. All right, let's see how we can take Ducky. I am a little gotta highlight Terra Fairy. Yeah, I do feel a little bit of nerves. I think just it being playoffs, but we'll see. It is lead the Dunsparce. Okay, fortunately we do have something for that. We can taunt, which would deal with, obviously it blocks rocks. I'm not as worried about that, but if he were to glare, that would be annoying. He has to fear CC. The only realm in which he doesn't is if he is Chople. If he's gonna swap, it's probably gonna be to something that I'm not too worried about. The only thing that's annoying here is like Body Slam. Yeah, I think Taunt's my best play. Okay, so he swaps. So what does that tell us? He's not Chople. He goes into Zapdos. Okay, this isn't really something that bothers me. So we still retain our Tera, which is nice. So I think here we will... we're not going to go hard Kyurem, obviously. I think this is just the opportunity to get the screens up. This wasn't exactly the sequence that I drew up in terms of how we're going to get Eject King into either Annihilate if we were able to get screens up before that, or Eject King into the Kyurem to get the screens. But I think this is perfectly acceptable. He's kind of in a weird spot himself because I'm ground, so it's not really easy to click a stab. So it's like you kind of have to cane if you're gonna attack at all in the first place. We use the cane, so this is fine. This is going to get the eject out. Confuses us, doesn't really matter. And okay, we eat that. We eat the eject button. Now we're gonna get the Kyurem in. Hurricane actually is like pretty strong. Actually, I probably should have calced that. 361, 30. So what, we can deduce that did... Alright, I'm gonna go Kyurem. Let's see. That probably did like a chunk. So it looks like it's the same spread that he ran last time. He just ran like a simple offensive zap. So it's probably maybe even the exact same set, where it's just like boots and some attacks. I think he's gonna want to swap, obviously, because I'm threatening a really strong attack here. He doesn't have great switch-ins to this. I think the likely swap could be. Last time he was AV Rot. It's kind of a weird swap here. He could be AV on a couple of guys. It also could be to Dun. But I think I can live with that if he goes to Dun. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get the Reflect up. He's gonna swap. Okay, so we can write down Kane. Goes hard Oki. Okay, that's fine. Ideal even. I think this strongly signals that he is either Shuka or AV. I was playing around Shuka when we played in the regular season. And so he kind of, if he cared to watch, he might know that I'm kind of expecting that. But this play clearly signals that he's one of those two things. Actually, no. This is just AV. This is just AV actually, because he doesn't know what set I am in the first place, and the only Oki in the world that wants to take like just an Ice Beam without item revealed, Psychic Fangs. Okay, that's probably for Annihilate. Psychic Fangs. He probably thought I was going hard Annihilate, which is not unreasonable because that was not exactly what I did last time, but kind of what I did last time. And now we're going to Chili. He's probably going to swap. Maybe he doesn't swap. But hopefully we can use this as an opportunity to get Annihilate in while we have a screen and start doing some damage. So we hard swaps. I think this could reasonably be SAMUROTT. It is Excadrill. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, this is fine. I'm starting to think maybe I should have light screen instead of reflected. Because I'm thinking like I get my Annihilate in here. I guess reflect is nice for the SAMUROTT, but I do expect the means he's actually going to revenge that is probably the actual way he's going to revenge that is probably like an Iron Moth. He did get burned by not having Energy Ball last time when I was Tera Rock, so I don't expect him to make that mistake again. And we are ground, so but we are going to go ahead and burn that. I think he's certainly going to swap. There's zero doubt in my mind about that. And I think the swap is probably Zapdos, honestly. So part of me wants to. Do I want a Tera? I don't know that I do. No, I don't think I do. So I'm gonna rip a Stone Edge. He's gonna swap to Zap. This has to be Zap. I don't know what other play you make here. That was Zap, right? Okay, so we get the Edge off, let's see, and we miss. Okay, so we make a good play and get punished for being good. You gotta hate that. So now we have to consider, like, he can Hurricane. That such a Hurricane would do. Such a Hurricane would not. We are EV to not get too KO'd by that. So it's pretty annoying. We could go back to G King. What an obnoxious miss. Okay, could go back to G King. He could be like a U-turn. He's not going to Volt Switch, so it'd have to be U-turn, but U-turn is really likely because of Ting-Lu anyway. So I could see him U-turning. Part of me wants to hit this again, honestly, because I don't want to invite SAMUROTT in. That's just not what I want to do. So I think I'm going to Tera here and Stone Edge again. We'll see what he decides to do. So he's staying in. I don't think he'll want to Cane. Maybe he will though. We'll see. Surely we won't miss 2, right? I mean, how could we do that? Let's see. What does he click? Goes for Hurricane. And we trade misses. Alright, so if we connect on this, then all is good. Alright, now we need a crit because I deserve it. Alright, that did a million. That did a million. Stone Edge. Okay, yeah, this is essentially the same Zapdos as before. So he can Cane here. In fact, I think if he's gonna come in here at all, it's to Cane. Like, well, that's why you do that. If he does swap hard, I don't think it's going to be in a SAMUROTT. I don't think it's going to be in an Excadrill either. He's kind of in a weird spot here. I think he has to hit a Cane. That's like the only play that's really here right now. But it is nice that we were able to dodge that. We were able to make up for that miss. Oh, I gotta mark the HP. This guy's really low. Color that in. Okay, so I swap, and let's see. I'm not that fast. So, okay, he goes for Hurricane. How much will this do? It should do 40 or so. And now we're gonna swap again, or rather, we're gonna Chili again. Okay, he swaps. What are we going into? Okay, we're back to Excadrill. We are back to Excadrill. So now we're gonna regen, which is nice, and I think we just go back into Annihilate and attack again, I guess. If our Rage Fist is still weak, one mistake I made in the last video, I could go Azumarill. No, because I don't think Jet one-shots. No, Jet doesn't one-shot, so I just risk taking a big hit. Like, I don't know if he'll want to do that, but it could be worth it. Worth it from his point of view. I could go Thunderous as well, but I think I just want to go back to Annihilate and hit something hard. I think I might even Rage Fist. The Rage Fist would do. It definitely kills Zapdos, so it's a solid mid ground. There's really no play here that's going to be good for him. He's not staying in, obviously. I think it's untenable for him staying, because even if he predicts me, like the chance that I just click Fighting Move, or even Drain, if I drained, that wouldn't be good. So we're gonna see what he goes into. Strike twice. Okay, we kill the Zap, which is nice. We kill the Zap, and we've basically taken no damage for it. Now we have the Punching Glove, so if he's static, we will not take it. Okay, so Zapdos is down, and we did all that without any damage on Kyurem. We were able to keep our item. Or any damage on Annihilate, we were able to keep our item on Kyurem. Because like there's a scenario where like it's the AV Oki versus the Kyurem. A hard SAMUROTT. Well, that's kind of annoying. But the signal there is what it is. I think I'm gonna go into the Azumarill. He's probably just He probably realizes like, oh, I got nothing in the tank for this, so I just got to attack. We'll see if this is Scarf. It's kind of a weird play if it's Scarf. Goes for Swords Dance. Okay. This thing doesn't get a move. This thing does not get a move to KO me, so... And there's really... Okay, Aqua Cutter. Let's see, do we eat? We do eat. Alright, we gotta connect on this. We have to. Man. It just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop! Okay, so with Zap down... With Zap down... That was really bad. That was really, really bad. We can go Aqua Jet. I mean, Aqua Jet's the only damage we're getting. Do we have a sack? I don't think we have a sack, which is unfortunate. So, I think I do just want to Jet for damage. If that even helps. Does it help? Not entirely sure. Maybe I play off in case he makes a really stupid mistake. Or I could Encore in case he predicts Jet and just like double SDs, because that could be game losing actually. I'm gonna Encore actually rather than get like the little percent. So that was really, really annoying. So now he's a +2. He's a +2 SAMUROTT that should not even be alive. And our only choice here is to go Cure him and Reflect, because we gotta go Cure him and Reflect. And I guess if he's Sacred Sword, like, we just have to eat it. Because if he's Sucker, like, that will drop or near drop Thunderous, which isn't like the end of the world, but it's not the end of the world, but it leaves us more vulnerable to the Excadrill than we would like. So we're gonna go ahead and Reflect here. We will get 8 turns of that. Goes for the Ceaseless Edge. That didn't do anything. So part of me wants to just start ripping some Freeze Dries. Because he's just not beating this. It doesn't seem like. I could Light Screen. I feel like he's gonna want to swap maybe. Like you could go hard. You could go hard. What if I Light Screen? This sounds weird, but what if I Light Screened? Because he probably wants to swap. If I Freeze Dry. If I Freeze Dry and he stays in, he hits me. Then maybe Sucker kills and I don't get any damage on this at all, and then Thunderous has to OHKO with Thunderbolt, which I don't know that it does. So I think I have to attack, unfortunately. I don't want to. I think he should swap. He doesn't swap. Okay. Never mind. Never mind. This is acceptable. Now, I think if he has Sucker, it's a solid click here. So party wants to Light Screen. If he wants to Sucker, then he can. I'm gonna Light Screen. Hey man, some people got it, some people don't. All right, so we're gonna be up here with a Reflect for 6 more turns and a Light Screen for 8. Let's see. Will he want to just spam Sucker? That's what he should do. He should just spam Sucker. I'm running out of moves, obviously. How much would that do? Does Sucker even kill me? 105. Looks like it does. But I think I just need to go down. I think I just need to go down. And I think I'm going to Earth Power when I do. We'll see what he does. Hard swaps. Iron Moth. Please be Iron Moth. Please be Iron Moth. Ah. Okie dokie. Okay, this is acceptable. We'll see how much this does. This has to be AV. Okay, now, is that AV? Yes. However, that did a lot. That kind of did a lot. So here's the thing. I'm faster than SAMUROTT, but he has to Sucker, which at least potentially blocks an SD, because then I can always come in. Ooh, am I? But he has 2 spikes up, not 3. So I can come in and get another Reflect up on SAMUROTT, whether he SDs or doesn't SD. I am also faster than Drill. And I'm faster than this. So I think I'm just going to go into the... I want to go... See, he should knock, though. Oh, wait, Reflect is up. Reflect is up. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. I was thinking, because I know that knock, I just narrowly avoided 2-hit KO for max attack animate knock without a reflect up from G-King once the eject button's off, but reflect is up, so this is gonna do nothing. And he might even, he Psychic Fangs. Oh, that breaks the screens. I totally forgot about that. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, so he's gonna want to swap. He's going to want to swap. If I psychic noise into SAMUROTT, this is just a totally untenable play. We do live the next knock, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. The next knock will do. Okay, we will eat this. So I'm gonna chili. As he goes for knockoff, we will eat this. Yum, delicious. So now I think we go back into Annihilate. We do have. Now the screens are down. Oh, it's actually really annoying. I didn't connect that when he Psychic Fanged the first time. Okay, so we're gonna go into the Annihilate, and there is no Earthquake swap. There's literally no Earthquake swap, so we're just gonna kill something. Hopefully it is that SAMUROTT, and that kind of makes life a little easier. I didn't mark the HP. This SAMUROTT is super low, and this Ogi is low as well. Not low, but it's like it's 60, maybe 63. Alright, so he's got to pick a swap here. Okay, is he going to give me this? There's no way this lives. Okay, we'll take it. We will take that all day. So fortunately, I guess the Psychic Fangs I just kind of overlooked, just got taken off. So it's now back in play that Kyurem can effectively check SAMUROTT still. It can effectively check SAMUROTT still because so to Dunsparce. What's this doing here? What is this gonna do? So he's not Chople, which unfortunately means he knows. Oh, I think I revealed all my attacks actually. My Earthquake kind of does a lot. He knows that I can taunt him, so if he's some kind of setup bullshit, if he's Glare, he knows that that's gonna get stomped out. He does know this. So a part of me just wants to attack and then like maybe taunt after that. Worst case, like I can, whatever damage I get off in this, like I can revenge. And the remaining Pokemon are all kind of beaten by Ting. So I think I can expend some damage here. It does seem like that's doable. So I think I'm gonna Earthquake first, and then see what he's gonna do. I don't expect him to. He has to attack here. Okay, so that is a little under half. Goes for Coil. Okay, well he saw I was taunt. How annoying. Okay. What do we make of this? What do we make of this? If he is. So this still doesn't do that much. This still does not actually do that much to Ting-Lu. So like I could in theory go Ting-Lu and Whirlwind. I risk taking. See, the thing is, I risk taking 60% in the process, which is not ideal. That would make me unable to check Iron Moth with it. We do have a low-ish health Slowking. We'd have to find a way to heal that up somehow. So part of me wants to just taunt this and take the shot. Let's see. Yeah, I think a lot of these guys are dead, so I think I'm just going to taunt. We'll see what he does. I think I might have to trade for this. I don't know what move he's gonna click. I don't think Body Slam does that much. Okay, so I guess he forgot I was taunt. So, now if we can Earthquake this down, it's unclear whether we can Earthquake this down in 2, which is regrettable. But it is what it is. If he's gonna attack us twice, yeah, I think I just want to attack this. I hope I get some good damage. Please, I hope this goes down in 2. I'm really not sure that it does though. No, it doesn't. Okay, it definitely does not. Hyper Drill? I don't even know what that is. What is Hyper Drill? What is that? Dodon, Sparse, Hyper Drill. 100. Okay, this is a base 100 normal move that bypasses Protect, which is fine, I guess. I think I still want to attack this and just get it done with my other guys. So, because if I can get screens back up, Thunderous should be able to do it. I also have some guys I can heal up, and then they'll be able to wall the rest of the team. So I'm going to just take damage. This is not going to go down, but I mean it is what it is. It will get revenge to fall. Ooh, that was close. Man, I don't know what that roll was then. So he takes Annihilate down. This is not exactly how I drew it up. So the situation here is that we have a SAMUROTT and a Dunsparce extremely low. And then we have full health Iron Moth and full health Excadrill. We know the Iron Moth is fairy, but other than that, we don't really know that much. So a part of me wants to go Cure him. Actually, no, I don't go Cure him because I wouldn't be able to get a screen up. So a part of me, let's see, I could go Thunderous. I think I have to go Thunderous. Everybody else has to take a big hit. Actually, if I went Ting, no, he's faster than me and could Roost. Now I could Whirlwind, but it's not good. Actually, all the guys that I would Whirlwind into are kind of bad too. Yeah, I'm just gonna go Thunderous. Not exactly what I would have preferred to do, but it is what it is. It'd be nice if I could just knock. I know this has a defense boost. It's gotta be low enough. This has to be low enough. There's no way Knock doesn't kill this, right? Knock. Yeah, it's so low. There's no way this doesn't kill. It has to be at like 2%. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and knock. Okay, this is gonna go down. Alright. So, of the guys left, I expect Iron Moth to come out, which is kind of cringe, but it is what it is. I gotta think what I would do in the event it's Iron Moth, because the G-King is low. The G-King is low. Excadrill. Okay, hold on. This is interesting. Okay, well, we have a sequence for this. We're just gonna knock and then Focus Blast, which is better than if you use Chople or Focus Blast. Then we'd have to hit 2 Focus Blasts. Okay, it is AV. All right, cool. Goes for the spin. Okay. We're in a position now where we gotta hit a Focus Blast, but it is what it is. Goes for Rock Slide. We also need no flinch. Okay, don't flinch. Please don't flinch. And we hit. All right. Woo! Okay. So, let me think. The Excadrill is down. He is almost certainly going Iron Moth. He does not 2-hit KO my Ting-Lu. Well, he might actually after. Let me think. He might actually after Spike. So I might need Let me think. If I can just get 2 Earthquakes off. Oh, I'm Boots. What am I doing? So I can probably sack G-King. I can probably sack G-King and then attack twice with Ting. And then go Cure him, throw a Reflect up, Thunderous, Always Live Sucker, and T-Bolts. So I think that's the play. We're gonna go G-King. We'll see if it clicks. The only thing that kind of makes this a little annoying is Fiery Dance. Fiery Dance makes this a little annoying. He is going to Tera into the Fairy. This is almost certainly going to be a sack. Okay. Please don't, if you Fiery Dance, please don't get the boost. It might be fine if you do. but please don't. Please don't. Goes for Sludge Wave. Okay. I guess, I mean, that's it. We couldn't have asked for something better. So now we're gonna go Ting-Lu, and we're just gonna Earthquake twice. And I think this is in the bag, unless there's a crit. But that basically it comes down to crit, because yeah, 2 Dazzling Gleams is not going to do it against me, and he can't swap SAMUROTT. Okay, this just dies. So, okay. Maybe there was like some vision there for what. Maybe there was a vision there. So now it's last Moth. He just has to not crit. He just has to literally not crit, and it will all be okay. It'll all be okay. Goes for Gleam. Don't crit. Please don't crit. I guess I need him to not crit twice actually. Okay, we eat that. We eat that. Let's go. Let's go. And that, yeah. Cool. Don't crit. Don't crit. Please don't crit. It's probably fine if he maybe Teambuilder. I don't know if Teambuilder does it. And we win. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. So, yeah, I don't have much to say about that. That's roughly, I mean, I wouldn't say exactly like down to the term, but that's roughly how I expected the game to go. Our prep was executed very well. And yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and advance to the semifinals. Off the top of my head, I actually don't know who I play, so I guess you'll find out. You'll find out next week when the video comes up. So yeah, with that being said, have a wonderful day.